We are live. Welcome to my video. This is going to be my thoughts on the 2022 South Korean show Connect. Season 1, Episode 1, Connection. Now, the episode is rated 18, so will this video be. I will be spoiling absolutely everything that happens in this episode, but not anything from later episodes. Haven't seen any of them yet. Yeah, absolutely love this episode. So yeah, before we dive in, just briefly, yes, starting a new show. I will be mostly done with this by the time, let's see, what is next? I want to say The Bear, Season 4, and Ironheart. And I expect I will, currently the plan is, I'll do an episode of this per week. There's 5 total, so yeah, and then move on to those other shows and do at least one episode per week vlog. I guess I'll just briefly say no particular reason why I chose to do this now. I got a list of shows I want to get to. This was the one with the least episodes, and I'm trying to do, one really short show, one really long show. Yeah. And I am 100% not an expert on South Korean culture. I apologize immediately, preemptively, for things I get wrong. I don't know how much name. I might just use like descriptions to get, to talk about characters. Here near the end of this episode, the killer, I'm probably going to mispronounce it, but something like Jingsuapa. Other than that, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, there were times where, like, I think the character said the other character's name, but it goes fast, and I do not speak Korean, so I couldn't tell which of the words was the name of the character, so yeah. That's how it's probably going to be for these vlogs. So anyway, yeah, I knew I was going to love this right from the utterly amazing introduction with all the eyeballs. Right, did I already mention this video is rated, 18 years and up? Holy shit, all those fucking eyeballs just staring and the crawly, it just, oh. I knew immediately, like, if this was something that I hadn't already decided on, and I just saw the intro sequence, the animated bit, yeah, I'd be 100% down immediately. And just like, I don't know, 2 minutes in, he's getting kidnapped, having his eyes cut out, and just, holy shit, yeah. There's very little, I have to say, that's, like, critical so far. I will just briefly get out of the way. Some of the CG, I think so far the CG is hit and miss. Some of the time it looks great. I think when it is like the tendrils coming out of protagonist's body and like reassembling his body, that looks great. Let's see, eyeballs so far mostly great. I do think the nightmare that the surgeon had with, I mean, I don't know what the person, whose body parts ended up in that bag bought, but it cost them an arm and a leg. Those were slightly wonky, and it's one of those things that, like, the moment you start animating something that's meant to look realistic, and we know what it looks like in the real world, it can get kind of difficult to get it exactly right, but it's a very minor complaint. Let's see, I 100% buy that you would have nightmares like that if your day job is cutting people open and removing organs for money. Like, that's so fucked. That's a thing I really love about this show so far. God damn, it's fucked up. Yeah. Like, and it, like, front loads some of this stuff, so it's like, you'll know a couple of minutes into this episode if this is your kind of thing, because god damn, Yeah, people getting cut up, body parts being dumped in garbage bags, and one of this moves, like it knocks over and the hand claws its way out. Like, I gotta say, at first I was like, oh, did he not make sure that guy was dead? And then it turns out, no, it's just the arm, and it starts like climbing towards him, and he's like, oh God, where did I put the book? A Farewell to Arms, shit. And yeah, and the eyeball right in front of his face, and then he wakes up, just, yeah. And the killer, who poses the dead bodies so they look like art pieces. Might jump around in the chronology of this episode a little bit, because I definitely got to talk about... I really loved the young woman who's like, on the bus. Oh, recommendation of song from my favorite artist. Clicks on it. That's pretty good. Listening to it on the wireless little earbuds thing, and then she sees. I realize she doesn't realize right away that it's a dead body. That was also, I quite appreciate that. Some of the time people will look at something and think, oh, that's art, and then they realize, oh, it's actually something really fucked up and morbid. And later we do also see, some people are like, I hope they catch him, but I kind of want to see the next art piece, and in all these different languages, and yeah, this young woman, she's listening to this music, and it is very pretty, and I appreciate. It's one of the first things we hear in this episode is this song, and he's also like, oh, street musicians playing my song. Is that original? Oh, you improved it because the original kind of sucks. Yeah. But yeah, she's listening to this beautiful music, and then she sees a crowd of people gathered around, and clearly there's some, like, it's like a dead body or an accident or something, like she can't possibly believe that she's about to see something beautiful, something to rival the artistry of the song. And she just, let's see, did she pick them out or did she just stop the song? The music stops, certainly, and she runs up and looking. And the police keep having to say, don't take pictures. And they keep having to have people go in and block, and tell people, stop taking the picture. This is so fucked up. This is sick. What are you doing? Why do you want to take the picture of a dead person that's posed in this artistic manner? And yeah, I mean, I do think there is like a part of our brain that is attracted to really sick shit, and I love media like this that acknowledges that and yeah, explores, because like, it would be one thing if it was saying like, you have to be really fucked up to do this, but no, these are regular people, and like, let's see. Yeah, we meet two young women. Both of them seem, like kind, good people. Like, it's a little too early to say, like, for sure, but they don't seem like there's not like this like twisted smile on the face of. Well, let's see. There was a little bit of an interesting reaction to the one who helps protagonist, but I think it's that she wants to find out what's going on more than that she's getting some sick thrill out of it, because she does help him. He wouldn't have gotten out of there if not for her. They would have strapped him to a table and removed his organs over and over, or something. They're yeah. And that I also appreciate, the reaction. Right, before I delve more into that, I do just want to very briefly say, the theme that we are attracted to fucked up sick shit is also very well explored in Alejandro Amenabar's, let's see, I think originally it was called thesis in English, yeah. Not overall his best. I gotta say, of all the ones I've watched of his, my favorite remains Abra los Ojos, or Open Your Eyes. Butchered for the American audiences by being turned into Vanilla Sky. Please watch the original. Yeah, if at all you find the concept appealing. Anyway, yes, I quite appreciate it when people see him heal. They either cry monster, and this, right from childhood, or they say, we could use this. This is profitable. You know, nobody other than the girl who helps him, nobody sees it and like sees his humanity, you know? Like, it's either scary and get it the fuck away from me, or it's like cha-ching, you know? I really appreciate that. Yeah. I do not think this show was popular with the South Korean tourist, you know, industry. I mean, it doesn't make me not want to go there, but yeah, I mean, I think it's like saying, you know, there are parts of South Korea that are really, really fucked up, and it is also just, you know, I understand it's based on a webcomic, so yeah, you know, there are a number of comics, not all, hashtag not all comics. I'm sorry. I maybe I make too much fun of the hashtag not all men. It's just such a fucked up response to just like why do you even feel attacked by women like saying there should be justice, you know, when someone has been raped? Why does that make you think, well, I'm not a rapist? Like, who was saying you were? What the fuck? Anyway, yes. I'm not saying all comic books do, but a number of them do present a very exaggerated, you know, view of the world. Yeah, I really appreciated how much they showed the tendrils, because it was so fucked up every single time. Yeah, and even those students are like, yeah, I mean, I guess all over the world, sometimes, you know, young people like that. Are really fucked up, you know. I mean, it's one thing that, you know, okay, he what was it? He hit him or almost hit the student, the old guy, and then he's like not apologizing, but he's like, you know, sitting there and he's like begging, and then the guy says, "Oh, sorry isn't enough." Well, I mean, which is it? Like, what the fuck? And that's, of course, you know, it's classic bully behavior to move the goalpost, and yeah, you know, they're like, you know, pushing this old guy, and yeah, you know, protagonist intervenes, and I really appreciate the way they do, like, when he tries to fight back, like, he's not this like master martial artist or something. I'm not just saying that because he's East Asian, by the way, but yeah, you know, he tries, but he's not, you know, the best at, you know, one of the guys tries to kick him and he just like grabs onto the leg, and this is where, like, you know, if he was like uber, you know, incredibly cool, he'd like, you know, break the leg or like slam him into something, just maybe the ground or, you know, something like that. But no, he just holds on to the leg. This is like, this feels safe, you know, and obviously it isn't for very long. And yeah, like, there are some really fucked up people in the real world, so yeah, sometimes media gotta acknowledge that, and yeah, like, the way they, like, they kick him when he's down, and then one of them gets out a fucking knife, Jesus Christ, and yeah, you know, slice off the ear, and they see the tendrils go, you know, well, no, wait, I guess they don't see the tendrils, but the tendrils come out, but the way he just fucking stands there, it's just like, yeah, I mean, that is one way to de-escalate a fight. If you can work it out, that it seems to work. I can imagine it would work in real life as well. Yeah, and like the fact that sometimes like when he's holding his ear, like he's holding it out here, and the tendrils and drag it back. You know, this, like, I wonder if they have like personality, they're probably like, what the fuck? You're really overworking us here. So at one point, you know, we see him, you know, captured. That was also like the guy just comes up. You've got pretty eyes. Just stop. You just started, and I already want you. Like, I don't want it to stop, but like, fuck me. Like, they didn't have to make it so goddamn creepy. So I really appreciate the effort there. But yeah, you know, we see the flashback later. which was also interestingly edited, because like at first I was thinking, oh, the surgeon's working on someone else now, but you know, the eyes, and they keep fucking turning, and he's like, stop looking at me, which, you know, when we first see it, like, you know, briefly, we're like, what, is this another dream? What's going on here, you know? And we see the torso heal, and you know, he goes over, gets one eye, and the, you know, he does not get the other eye, jumps out the window naked, you know, freeze frame, and then we get the voiceover of like, you know, that's what happened, or something like that. I admire the enormous restraint it must have taken to not accompany the freeze frame with a record scratch and then have the narration open with, yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I ended up in this situation. And in fact, you know, for that to be like the very opening of the episode. Anyway, the old lady was very sweet. I really appreciate they do manage to balance out the darkness with some sweetness. You know, she's just, well, oh, I don't know where he is. He left, and he should be back. I don't know where he is, you know. And protagonist's like, I'll go look for him. You know, just, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and the students walking away, and like one of them is like, we should call the cops, and apparently the only reason they end up not doing that is, you know, the other one points out, oh no, the old guy was doing that anyway. You know, like, I don't want to overwork them, or call the cops on him and say, oh, we cut this guy's ear off and he just stood there and he was weird. Like, what the fuck? But that's, you know, that's bigotry. They actually think, you know, you know, it reminds me of like Cartman saying, you know, even the authorities are minorities in my water park. You know, like, yeah, just like, no, but they didn't do anything wrong. You just don't like them, and yeah, bigotry, brain rot. You know, that there doesn't have to be a reason. It's just something's off-putting here, and there's, you know, we should respond with violence, or you know, trying to weaponize the police force against them. So yeah, normally, you know, not a big fan of violence, and you know, in real life I hate violence. It's only in media that I, you know, like it. Violence in real life should always only ever be the absolute last resort. Yeah, but considering the students just, you know, beat, you know, protagonist, yeah, when the enforcer comes up and grabs two of them by the hair, what did you see? You know, that was, yeah. If I hadn't just seen them do what they did, I'd be like, please don't do that. That's, yeah. Like, he could do worse. He does worse to others, but still. Yeah, one of the cops also, like, slaps one of the others. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if that's part of your world here, or if it's, like, part of the culture. I don't know. I'm not saying anything definitive here. And obviously, you know, if it is part of the culture, they're not the only culture where, you know, it's deemed acceptable for you know, someone to hit someone else, as like, you know, because it's like, you know, he thinks the other cop is being a little too slow or something like that. I did think it was a little funny when he's just like, see that? That's a language you don't read. I mean, I read it, but I just wanted you to know that it's like, you know, like, and one of the others is like, so tell us the translation. Like, that's kind of your job, your role here, apparently. So yeah. And that was also great, you know, early on, it's like, he's gonna have the nosebleed. Oh, nosebleed's a nosebleed. No, he gets a nosebleed when he, you know, knows exactly, when his nose knows. And then later, oh, see, there it is. And you know, within moments, he's got the you know, he's ready for it at this point. It's just like, oh, there you go. And yeah, he's like, get me everything on him. Yeah. Right, about the fighting. Yeah, when he's like running away from, you know, he keeps accidentally running the wrong way, and you know, she at one point has to say, no, that's a dead end. Was it a dead end? Or no, yeah, she wanted him to go into a dead end so she could test, which, like, is also, I mean, she knows at this point. She knows for sure, but still, like, I wonder how many people she cut that were the wrong people that didn't heal. At least not that fast. But yeah, he's like trying to run away, and he picks up like the plastic box or something and tries to slam while the other guy's got like a fucking axe. That's also just like they didn't have to go this hard. I love it. Like he could have just grabbed him, but no, he's got like a fucking axe. Yeah. And yeah, he picks up like a pipe and tries to hit them with it, and then he knocks down some pipes so they hit, and there's even like a reaction shot of a guy behind that wasn't hit by a pipe, and he's like, is this guy for real? We gotta catch this guy. He's making us look so ridiculous by actually slowing us down with this Looney Tunes bullshit. Like, please, we gotta do better than this. God damn. But yeah, yeah, she shows up and tells him where to go, and then she's just gone. So I don't know if she maybe also has some sort of power. And then she's where she told him to go, but it seems like she couldn't really have run past him, right? Because he was like, first he's looking in the direction that she wants him to go, and then he turns around to look where she was. I guess maybe she went the other way around. I don't know. Anyway, and yeah, just like, yeah, it's a dead end, but I just really want to cut you, and yeah, like, she did have a plan. It's not like she just knocks him over, and yeah, he's not 100% ready yet to embrace. That was also, I appreciate they showed it twice. Him as a kid, falling out. We don't see him falling out of the tree twice, but we see him on the ground with like broken, bent legs. Like, Jesus Christ, like he's just a kid, and then they're like, oh, monster. I'm sorry, I do think if I was like 7 and I saw someone else heal like that, I'd be like, oh, that's so cool. It's just like, come. Now I'd probably be, scared as well. But yeah, that is something I really do appreciate about this show. Regardless of age, we are either fascinated or terrified by something that is sufficiently different. Because he's not hurting anyone. He's not threatening anyone. He got hurt, and now he's healing. And they don't like that because it's different from what they're used to. What they've been taught is okay, So I really appreciate that because like, I do think there's an interesting version. There are other stories where, the thing that freaks them out is someone actually hurting. Like off the top of my head, the Crow. A lot of the time when someone is like, what the fuck, the Crow, he's hurting someone either like right now, or it's like a cop who knows you're the one who fucked that guy up. Like, just, yeah. I think that does pretty well. Right, as he's like running away and looking back at her, I just want, one of them to do like the that might just about cover everything other than the serial killer himself, who I obviously do want to want to talk about. I think I'll start with the effect. I love the fact that when he starts seeing what Jing Suopa sees, there's like, let's see, is it static? I forget what it's called, but like the picture is degrading on a camera kind of thing, which is such an interesting choice, because the human eye doesn't do that, like you would expect some other kind of effect, but it's very creative, very, very noteworthy, choice. And yeah, this idea that every so often he sees what Suopa sees, and yeah, by the end of the episode he knows this is the killer, and he knows where he works. So yeah, he might be able to confront him soon, which is going to be very interesting, because at the end of the day he doesn't have proof. See, the psychic connection, it does not hold up in court. I've tried. Let's see. I think yeah, yeah, it's very interesting seeing like the writings. You know, I will prove neuroticism and the various things. Yeah, and when there is a connection, both of them like drop what they're holding, and I'm one of those goofballs who for some reason, like, I know it's like hurting him and it's upsetting, but I'm like, oh, he dropped his food. That's too bad. Is he gonna go hungry or does he have enough food? But yeah, the killer accidentally knocks water over his drawing, wiping it away. Protagonist is able to see, that's definitely, the installation from earlier, and just, yeah. I knew going in that this was about a serial killer, so as soon as we see, like, this statue kind of thing, I was immediately thinking, is that serial killer, like, is a tableau, to quote Dexter, not the character, but a character on his show. Yeah, but they did a really good job on it, because like from right away there is like, if it wasn't a dead person, yeah, that is like, it's an interesting pose. There is artistry there, and yeah, this thing of in fiction, artistic serial killers are substantially more frequent than in real life. Like, sadly, there are a number of serial killers, but a lot of them, they don't really get super artistic about it. It's just, yeah, really fucked up shit. So yeah, but it's undeniably fascinating. I mean, I chose this show. Nobody forced me to watch this show. I knew it was going to be about a creative serial killer, and the psychic connection through the eye. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm so glad that the show is available to be watched. Yeah, right. I meant to say at the start of this video, I do realize that right now there's only one season. I say season 1 because maybe at some point in the future there will be a season 2. Don't want to make it confusing. Anyway, yeah. When the statue starts fucking bleeding, that's so, and it just keeps bleeding. It's not just like one drop. It just, at one point, like, let's see, there's like at least 4 drops, and we just keep hearing the noise of blood dripping onto, and yeah, as they point out, in an investigation, was it on purpose? Was it a mistake? Because, like, it seems like he could hypothetically have made it not bleed. Maybe he wanted people to there's that thing about serial killers want others to see the world the same way they do. Again, a lot of fictional killers have that. Yeah, I could imagine that there is some sort of, that he's purposefully, because he's certainly purposefully leaving them out there, and yeah, remains to be seen. But also, yeah, the fact that he is like signing them or something, yeah, he's not just like randomly forgetting where he put them. He's like, oh, right, that was actually supposed to go in my basement, but now it's out there. Not getting that art piece back. That was also, I noticed the line, can you believe this killer pretends to be an artist? That was an interesting kind of, like the police draw a very distinct line there, as they should. I'm not saying that's bad, but not everyone does. He's got fans, and they are, of course, like, oh, we're totally against violence. Yeah,